New York Excelsior have quickly made a name for themselves both inside and outside of Overwatch League. From small-scale meetups to full-scale LAN events, NYXL is now one of Overwatch's most recognizable brands. A man who has had some impact on that growth is Ben Nichol, and he joins us now from our New York studios. Ben is the head of events and developments for the New York Excelsior. And Ben, for those who aren't aware, briefly, how did you get your start in esports?
Oh man, how far back do you want me to go? I started working in esports. I've been a nerd my whole life. I started working in esports professionally, officially about 10 years ago. It was on the back of StarCraft 2. Prior to StarCraft 2, I would write articles for fan sites about Korean StarCraft Brood War matches. And I had an audience of like 15 nerds. When StarCraft 2 came out, those articles turned into a video series called 12 Weeks with the Pros, which got a little bit noticed, and it landed me a job at ESL in Germany, where I began traveling around the world, going to events, talking about video games, and the ride just hasn't stopped yet. I spent about 5 years at Red Bull. Now I'm here in New York helping to turn it into an esports city.
So what were your goals when you started with the New York Excelsior, and how have those evolved in recent years?
Yeah, man. Number one is let's make this place a place for esports. I think a great dream would be for a kid to wake up in South Korea one day and say, man, I want to be a pro gamer. I really wish I lived in New York. And I don't think that my goals have really changed a whole lot from day one. If anything, it's just become much more focused. Obviously, right now, we're very laser focused on Home Games 2020 and making sure we can put on the best shows in the Overwatch League.
Your team started with a pop-up shop on Atlantic Avenue. Now you have full-scale LAN events. For you, what are the biggest challenges for the growth and success in that area?
I mean, the challenge is just staying consistent and being in front of people and kind of getting our name out there and our brand out there and being recognizable. For all the great work that we've done, you can still walk down the street and ask people if they've ever heard of New York Excelsior, and a lot of them will say, what's that? So we just got to do more of it. But what is absolutely resonating is the fact that when we do these events, our fans have a great time and that they want more. So we're going to keep turning and burning.
Your team works closely with Kids in the Game. Can you give us a breakdown of what that is?
Oh, I'd love to. Kids in the Game's an after-school program. They service thousands of students in New York City. We helped them pilot their first ever esports program. And so while King would typically run like after-school football, baseball, basketball programs, they wanted to try something with gaming. And so we worked with them to develop some curriculum. We played NBA 2K and FIFA. The kids would play games for an hour and then go outside and play the sport for an hour. We were given a couple of goals when we sat down to tackle this project. These are kids who maybe have gotten in some trouble, weren't always showing up to class, certainly had some issues with grades. So the goals we were given were give them a reason to come to school, help them make some new friends, and in our wildest dreams, can we get their grades to go up a little bit. We ran the program for 9 weeks. It was a tremendous success. At the end of it, we had a big finals with all 4 schools on LAN, and it was great. It was a really awesome thing to see how you can reach the kids through games, but also how you can use games in the industry of esports to show them that there's a lot of opportunity in the world for an aspiring gamer.
Okay, big picture Overwatch question. Now that Nate Nanzer has resigned, how do you think that'll affect the league?
Hey man, losing Nate sucks. Nate was a visionary. He dreamed up the league. He was absolutely instrumental in building it and getting it to where it is today. But what Nate also did was built an amazing team and brought in an amazing ownership group. I think we all have great confidence that we can put together amazing events and put on great shows. It sucks to lose Nate to the other side, but I'm sure that we'll find ways to work with him in the future.
And as Overwatch shifts to a travel league, what do you think are going to be the biggest challenges that teams face?
Well, I mean, the travel is going to be very hard. Going from China to New York to Paris in the span of a few weeks is going to be tough on all the players. Clearly a significant expense with all the travel. But I think more than anything else, this is how do we stay sharp? How do we stay really competitive? How do we deal with the jet lag? Esports is already an industry where travel kind of comes with a lot of wear and tear, and players will sometimes complain about burning out. Oh, I've been to 10 events in 10 weekends. We just got to be careful to make sure that we manage our guys' schedules and keep them comfortable so that they can be sharp when they're on stage playing those big games.
What has NYXL done to maybe move along that learning curve a little bit, maybe prepare for the shift in format?
Man, I want to say a lot. Our coaches are grinding every day, trying to figure out how to get smarter and better with the way they strategize, and they kind put the roster together to go into a match day. The front office team here in New York is grinding every single day to make sure that logistically we're prepared for the events, that our marketing team is ready to get the word out and make sure they're sold out so that we can put on the best possible show. Frankly, I think the rest is just roll up your sleeves and do the work and kind of write the playbook as we go, because this has never been done before.
Very intriguing stuff. Last question for you, Ben. You got that beautiful cityscape behind you. What is the biggest challenge to you to build up not just your brand, but the esports scene in New York City?
I don't know, man. I don't know that there's a challenge here. Esports is here. We just got to go out and speak to it. There are pockets of gaming and esports all around New York City. So I guess if there's a challenge, it's just doing the work. But like I said, we put together an incredible team, and any day of the week in New York City, you can go somewhere and find a gaming event. And you can find a community of passionate nerds that want to, throw down and play a money match or go to a watch party. So the one challenge that exists is just identifying it all and connecting it all. But it's been really exciting to work on thus far.
Well, Ben, it's exciting to hear about the headway and progress you've made. All the best, and thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.